1019 KACQ.
Good afternoon. I'm Casey Chapman here with your local Lampasas area news. This newscast is a service of Hall Power Ranch and Supply. LPD had a very active day yesterday, trying to track down who had smashed windows out on vehicles around town. Calls started coming in around 7:30 yesterday morning from Old Georgetown Road, South Chestnut, South Main, South Key, a few on Pecan, Siouan, and East Avenue G and F, and that's just to name a few. According to LPD, it appeared that someone was driving around town using a BB gun to shoot out windows. No arrests have been made yet, but LPD is currently gathering video from businesses and ringing doorbells to try and find the person or persons responsible for the damages. Officers also responded to a vehicle burglary on Old Georgetown Road, cooled off a disturbance in the 1100 block of Mill Street, worked a fraud case in the 800 block of North Key, and went out on a reported theft in the 300 block of Walnut. County deputies booked in 51-year-old Kenneth Wayne Davis of Cove for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and a 19-year-old Lomita woman on an out-of-county charge. Other than a welfare check, Lomita stayed quiet. Kimner went out on a noise complaint, worked a civil matter, and had a few animal complaints. County deputies rolled out on a suicidal call, a handful of civil matters, an animal complaint, a couple of fish and game calls, and were sent out to Cove to settle a disturbance and to check on a suspicious person. The burn ban remains in effect for Lampasas County. It was a seller's market yesterday at the LCA. Your complete market report and more Lampasas local area news is coming up next.
Ran into an old friend the other day. Lives in a town about 40 miles from here. Hadn't seen him in a long time. Glad to renew the acquaintance. After talking old times for a while, I asked him why he was in town. Said he came here every so often, mostly to go to Hoff Power's Ranch and Supply to pick up feed or renew his feed contract. Really, I says, do they treat you right? Oh yeah, he says, I check around on prices here and they're right on down there on cattle feed, especially if you contract it. Store inside's pretty good too, he says. Get your blue jeans or a pair of boots if you need them. Better selection of clothes and ranch stuff too than you can find around here anywhere. Pretty good recommendation, I thought. Off Powers Ranch and Supply in Lampasas.
It was a seller's market yesterday at the Lampasas cattle auction. 1,173 head went through the ring. That was up from last week's 677 and way up from a year ago's 360. Compared to last week, feeder steers and heifers were $1 to $3 higher. Slaughter cows $3 to $5 higher, and slaughter bulls were $1 to $3 higher. On the steer side, no test on the 2 to 3s. The 3 to 4s went from $1.54 to $1.86. 4 to 500 pounds, $1.46 to $1.90. 5 to 600 pounds, $1.33 to $1.65, and the 6 to 7s went from $1.24 to $1.46. And capping off with the 7 to 800 pounds, $1.19 to $1.36. On the heifer side, 2 to 300 pounders, $1.39 to $1.55. 3 to 4s, $1.27 to $1.51. 4 to 500 pounds, $1.22 to $1.60. And 5 to 600 pound heifers went from $1.17 to $1.33. 6 to 7s, $1.13 to $1.31. And the 7 to 8s, $1.06 to $1.20. On the slaughter cow side, under 800 pounds went from 20 to 40 cents a pound, 800 to 11, 35 to 64, and the 11s to 13s, 45 to 66. On the slaughter bull side, no test on the 1,000 to 13s, the 13s to 21s went from 60 to 96 cents a pound. On the bred replacement cows, the baby tooths went from 750 to 1,100 a head, while the solid mouse went from 550 to 900. In the cow-calf pairs, young to middle-aged, 900 to 1,300 per pair, and the aged cows, 750 to 1,000. I'm Ken Gontarek, Lampasas Radio News.
COVID vaccination efforts are rolling out slower than promised, and now there are shipping delays.
Across the state, there are reports that the delivery of shots meant to be second doses are getting delayed by the Texas State Health Department. Texas A&M's Dr. Angela Clendenin understands this makes people nervous because the shots are hard to find.
It's not a need for a lot of anxiety or worry. It's not going to be a failed vaccine.
She says the studies on these vaccines show that the first dose gives about 50% protection. The second dose booster shot needs to be given within 90 days to work. Michael Board, TSN News.
President Joe Biden is catching heat for his executive order on energy, which some see as harmful to national security. Congressman Michael McCall of Texas, who is the top Republican of the Foreign Affairs Committee, says the nation will still need oil, and it will have to come from somewhere else.
It comes from Russia, from Venezuela, from China, and Iran. That is exactly who is winning by this executive order.
President Joe Biden used a stroke of his pen to end the Keystone XL pipeline, which would bring oil from Canada to Gulf Coast refineries. So instead of the oil going through the pipeline, it has to be trucked or put on trains to move it south. Biden also ended new oil and gas leases on federal land. His goal is to move the country towards a reliance on solar and wind energy. In sports, Badger varsity boys hit the road tomorrow in a late game to take on Gatesville. You can hear that game live on KCYL 1450 on the AM side with tip-off at 7:30. The Lady Badger playoff hopes stay alive after beating the number 5 ranked Glen Rose on Tuesday. For your COVID-19 update, yesterday's estimated active COVID numbers around the region reported from the state shows Bell County revising their numbers up by 110, now showing 1,801 active cases. Coryell County jumped up by 23, reporting 1,811. Burnett active numbers are now up by 26 to 979. Mills down 9 with 135. San Saba added 5 with 169, and Hamilton up 1 with 89. Here locally, as of 5 o'clock yesterday, Lampasas County was reporting 148 active cases. That's a 19-case jump from Tuesday's report. 9 remain hospitalized, and the county recorded its 20th fatality yesterday. The number of total cases in the county is up to 1,566. Thank you to our viewers. I'm Casey Chapman here with your local Lampasas area news.
1019
KACQ.